A launch vehicle Mark III LVM rocket topped with the Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft lifted off from the Satish Dhawan Space Center on the coastal island of Sriharikota. Today, July 14 at 5:05 a.m. EDT 0905 GMT 2:35 p.m. local time in Sriharikota. The rocket turned into the sky carrying an uncrewed lander, revered due to and the hopes of the world's most populous nation. About 16 minutes after liftoff, Chandrayaan 3 spatted from the LVM 3 as planned and intended orbit around Earth, kick-starting its fuel efficient journey to the moon. If the rest of the mission unfolds as planned, India will soon become the fourth country after the United States, the former Soviet Union, and China to land the moon. The ambitious homegrown mission has a relatively most price tag of 6 billion rupees. Its success would accelerate India's growing ambitions of low cost space exploitation during a time when many nations are waiting to exhibit a long time presence on the moon. Today's launch commemorated India's second suit at generally landing on the moon's surface, a venture that comes nearly 4 years after Chandrayaan 2's lander rover pair crashed into the moon. Due to a software glitch, officials at the India Space Research Organization ISRO, the country's National Space Agency, says they are confident of success this time around. That confidence will be tested over the next month as multiple fingers of the spacecraft's tester sketch is shaped until it can be under into the moon's orbit. Once their pens, mariners must safely pitch the lander over due near the moon's south people a mainly uncharted region that India dreams of bring the first to unravel. This mission is most significant in terms of unlimited pranks landing capability of the Chandrayaan-3 lander on the specified lunar space and surface. Arun Sneha, a former senior scientist at ISRO, told Space.com. The mission's landing zone measures 2.5 millions by 1.5 millions 4 by 2.5 km and sits at 69.3677621 south latitude and 32.348 126 east longitude, which happens to be near the planet touchdown site of Russian's Luna 25 spacecraft, which is scheduled to launch in August. A sport in space exploration, the lunar South Pole in route to Humber abundant water ice, which scientists think can be mined for rocket fuel. Lunar water ice could also be cleaner for life support, making the South Pole region a translanding target for moon bases. Chandrayaan 3's touchdown targeted for August 23 or August 24 would be historic successful. Past missions have landed near the moon's equator and that those that attempted to reach the South Pole have failed. Unlike more accessible equatorial areas where sunlight is planetary for solar powered spacecraft, the South polar regions receive sunlight at low angles, and the long shadows there make safe landing a challenge. ISRO scientists are banking on a new algorithm applicated into Chandrayaan 3's software rather than interpret speed from static images as Chandrayaan 2 did. The new technology on board Chandrayaan 3 is designed to estimate spacecraft speed in real time as the probe descends toward the lunar surface. In addition, the legs on the lander, which is named Vikram, Sanskrit for valor, have been strengthened to help its survey sidely high landing speed, and the area in which the spacecraft can be touched down has also been significantly widened to allow some room for error and unlimitedly increased chances to success. ISRO Chairman S. Somananth said last week during a press briefing. Assuming a spay and safe touchdown, a six failure river named Parayagana, Sanskrit for wisdom, powered by its own tiny solar iron and guided by cameras to avoid obstacles, will roll off Vikram onto the lunar surface. It is armed with a spectrometer and Ellen's lunar soul and rocks and is a laser included spectrometer to zip its target and read their chemical composition. The rover and lander are both expected to operate for one lunar day about 2 hours from sunrise to sunset on the moon. While the solar powered robotic duo is not expected to survive freeze night on the moon, there are fine chances of extra affectionate battery charges. Sneha told Space.com. If this is good, another 4 8 days might be available. Vikram is equipped with a seismometer to sense moon quakes, which help scientists infer the moon structure. A thermometer-like instrument that will, for the first time, penetrate the lunar soil to record its temperature. A probe to study plasma close to the surface, and a reflector sent by NASA to understand the dynamics of the moon system. According to the mission plan, Chandrayaan-3 is the latest effort of India's bygone space economic system, unfolding nearly a month after the country signed the Abrams Accords for peaceful moon exploitation to boost its space economic. India issued its national space policy in April. The document and was highly anticipated by the countries building commercial space sector and allows private startups which have nearly doubled since 2020 to contract rocket and rocket launches, an operation that has historically been dominated by ISRO. Chandrayaan-3 we also domestic and Indians hydrogenesis technology which is empowering the nation to collaborate with countries worldwide on various missions. For example, in 2024, India is scheduled to launch NISAR, short for NASA, ISRO scientific apparatus radar and observatory in low Earth orbit that will fly two radars on communicated by each country to minority minute changes in its surface further down the pipeline of machines. The country has partnered with Japan Space Agency for the lunar polar exploration pets and mission to study water ice lining in permanently shadowed regions of the moon, launching at the time when multiple nations are competing to reach the moon and attributed a long-term presence near its south pole. The Chandrayaan-3 mission will help shape India's role in the future lunar exploration.